Welcome back, my friends, and welcome to Fair Fight Christian Wrestling Community, where every week we take a look at the top 10, sometimes less, sometimes more, moments from the entire wrestling industry. So let's see what made the top list this week. Alright, so this week's a little bit short, guys. We're coming in at number 9 with NXT UK Takeover in Blackpool, which I just finished watching a few hours ago. Didn't exactly have the same tone as what we're normally used to in the American version of NXT, but was still a really great show, and quite frankly, 10 times better than a Monday Night Raw, and I think was even a little bit shorter. It ended with a really decent match between Pete Dunne and Joe Coffey. Again, wasn't a barn burner, 5-star match, but it was still a really good match, and I can watch Pete Dunne wrestle any day of the week. However, that match was foreshadowed over the return, or I shouldn't even say return, the debut of Walter. I've heard amazing things about this guy, and I can't wait to see what he does on the UK brand. Alright, moving into number 8, the promise of Johnny Gargano versus Ricochet at Takeover Phoenix. Now, this has really interesting implications that could be lying underneath, because here you got two guys fighting for the North American Championship with the potential of one of them possibly getting called up to the main roster. Quite frankly, anymore, I feel like the call up to the main roster is the losing side of the coin, but hopefully these guys are taken seriously, especially with this AEW rumors going around of contracts coming up and who they want to grab from WWE, so hopefully they're taken seriously. But regardless, we know that this match at TakeOver is going to be a stellar competition. Alright, looking at number 7 on Smackdown Live, the new Daniel Bryan is really starting to finally take stride, and I'm starting to notice it too. I didn't really like the the Earth Loving Tree Hugger approach that Daniel Bryan's been doing here recently, but now he's really revved up that intensity, and his promo, both right at the start of the show and then halfway through, showing this really deep level of intensity, was refreshing to see from a champion, and I'd like to see more moving forward. Alright, going into number 6, let's reverse back to TakeOver Blackpool with an excellent tag team match for the brand new UK Tag Team Championships. I can watch Mustache Mountain any day of the week. This was a really great opener to the show. Anytime you're watching the NXT UK, I'll admit it's a little bit hard to get through some of those 2-hour episodes when they load them up back to back, but anytime Mustache Mountain is on the camera, they are the standouts. Interesting enough that they didn't win the championships, but it gives you that babyface going for the title, and they've got a search on it. So I'm looking forward to watching more. Alright, looking at number 5, but once again on SmackDown Live. We're looking at what was a tag team match that actually had two big standouts of Andrade Cien Almas and Rey Mysterio. I want to see this match, and I want to see it at WrestleMania or Royal Rumble or maybe every SmackDown moving forward, because those two had an amazing amount of chemistry together, and it really brings Almas up to that next level where he should be on a consistent basis, and that is always a good thing. And hey, speaking about keeping somebody on that next level on a consistent basis, we'll talk about number 4 with Sasha Banks getting a title shot at the Royal Rumble. Everybody knows she is most likely going to lose, and unfortunately this is kind of just an segue feud getting Ronda Rousey up to that main event scene at WrestleMania, but I'm glad to see Sasha Banks being taken seriously again. Unfortunately, I'm sure we're going to go right back into that tag team scene when this is over, but hey, for the next few weeks, let's get that Sasha Banks that we knew and loved back on camera. Alright, going to our top 3. The talk of the week has been the Kenny Omega effect. That Kenny factor that has been plaguing the podcast world and the YouTube world. I was actually tempted to call this the Omega and AJ Styles factor slide, but the thing is that Kenny Omega really does play a huge factor into whether he's going to go to WWE or whether he's going to go to AEW. There's an entire video on our playlist, on our poll, talking about it's either going to be a financial decision or a creative decision, and we can't wait to see what happens moving forward. All right, number 2 on the list, everybody was chopping onions on Monday Night Raw, and we all cried together as we celebrated the amazing career and life of Mean Gene Okerlund. I thought that this was a fantastic tribute. That video package was absolutely stellar, and arguably one of my absolute favorites. Mean Gene, like many of us, was the voice of our childhood, and he will be greatly missed. And I honestly thought that Mean Gene was going to stay at number 1, but nothing could surpass the AEW rally that took place on Tuesday, announcing officially this new promotion, a new Monday Night Wars, so to speak, that capped off the evening with the return of Chris Jericho to a stable, to signing a contract with AEW, where we've actually kind of heard that may not be exclusive. He could still work in New Japan. He could still do other promotions that he chooses to, but this is going to be the next revolution in professional wrestling, and 2019 is going to be the most exciting year in wrestling we have probably ever seen, going back to the WCW days. Chris Jericho is going to be that big difference maker, supported by announcements like Pac, and announcements like Double or Nothing, and then another show, and we're just waiting to hear what that TV deal is going to be. We salute Cody and the Young Bucks. We thank them so much for bringing in a new look and a new approach to professional wrestling. I've said it before and I'll say it again, the rising tide raises all ships, and so I hope the WWE takes notice. And then we also want to remind you guys that every week we do our Prayer Warriors. You can follow us at Fair Fight Inc. INK on Twitter, and you can check out our Prayer Warriors list where we are sending out prayers for wrestlers. I know we've got the Buffalo Brothers in the car wreck. We want to think about the family of Mean Gene Okerlund, and then anybody who has been sidelined with an injury. I know Kota Ibushi is still on the sidelines. Triple H is still healing, and so we want to keep them all in our prayers. Thank you guys so much for giving us a follow here today. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us at Fair Fight Inc. INK on Twitter. We'll see what next week has to offer, and we'll talk to you soon.